First of all, I want to thank all of you for being here. Anna, can we do the, so that everybody can see each other for a minute so we can have a quick introductions? Thank you so much. First of all, bienvenidos. Thank you to all our amazing administrators for joining us. We might be a small group, but we're an effective group. And so I think we have enough time to just go around real quickly to let us know your name and what school you're from, and then also your role at your school. Can we start with you, Francisco? Mr. Gutierrez, would you like to go?
Sure. My name is Jose Gutierrez. I'm an assistant principal at Pittsburgh High School in the Bay Area in East Bay County.
And we just move it around popcorn it, whomever wants to go next.
My name is Dr. Crystal Barreas. I'm from Norte Vista High School here in Riverside, California, and I am the admin that oversees our Puente program.
Good morning, I'm Claudia Ruiz Flores, Assistant Principal at Orangeview, overseeing Puente. Josefina, it's such a pleasure to see you again after such a long time.
I was just thinking the same thing. Yeah, beautiful to see you.
Gracias.
Vero? Veronica?
Trying to unmute. Sorry, I had two Zooms going on. Good morning, Veronica Ortiz. I'm the College and Career Coordinator for Hayward Unified School District.
Would like to go next. Francisco, I don't want to point fingers.
Sorry, I just got back. Are we doing introductions?
Yes.
Okay, so good morning, everybody. My name is Francisco Mesa. I'm the Director of Federal and State Categorical Programs for the Whittier Union High School District.
Hi, everyone. I'm Anna. I'm the Program Assistant for Secondary Programs.
Julia, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Good morning, everybody. I'm the Executive Director for Puente, and I'm really happy to be here with all of you.
Okay, and I know some folks are trying to connect. Mr. Polk, are you on? There. Mr. Polk, would you like to introduce yourself? Lenore, can you introduce yourself and your school?
Hi, my name is Lenore Medina. I'm one of the vice principals at Antioch High School.
Awesome. And I think Mr. Polk is there. Okay, did we miss anybody? Oh, here we go. Sarah, would you like to introduce yourself? Some people are just coming on.
I believe Paula also just joined.
Okay, so we're doing quick introductions. So if you haven't introduced yourself, just can you take a minute and tell us your name and your school and your role at the school?
Sounds good. Hi, everyone. My name is Paula Case. I'm an assistant principal at Loyola High School. It's located in Anaheim, AUHSD. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Okay, I think some folks might have a few technical problems. So why don't we get started? And first of all, again, we want to thank you for making time to join us this morning. And first of all, you know, you all provide such an important role in terms of Puente, of the implementation of the MOU and the program at your school sites. And you provide so much support for your teacher and your counselor and your students in Puente. And we just are very grateful to have the opportunity to work with all of you. So we wanted to go over some pieces of information that we thought were important and we wanted to share with you. First of all, you heard us talk this morning, if you join us from the beginning, about our Big Give, which is our one-day campaign to raise monies for student scholarships. All of the funds will be going to towards our student scholarships, our students that are either high school students or community college students in Puente. And our goal is to raise $10,000 for our students. We're very fortunate that we have a donor that is matching us dollar to dollar. And again, every single cent of the money raised today until 9 p.m. Will be going towards scholarships. And we do have a process where we, allow for the students to apply and from all of their high schools and all of our community colleges across the state. So we're hoping that we're able to support our students again. And we hope that you find it in your heart to donate, even if it's a small donation. Remember, it's a $1 to $1. So even a small donation will make a really big difference. Any questions about the big gift? Okay, and again, we're very excited to be able to do that for our students again. And we're hoping we're gonna even exceed our $10,000 goals as we did last year. We actually raised $12,500 last year, and we're hoping that we'll be able to do the same at least this year. In terms of the ethnic studies class, as you heard from our team this morning, we have been working on an ethnic studies component of Puente for several months now, and we brought together 3 of our practitioners, 3 of our Puente teacher English teachers that have been actually teaching ethnic studies for a few days or for few years. We have been collaborating with Assembly Member Jose Medina's office, who actually wrote the bill, the 101, AB 101. We have had one of his staff members that has joined us in our planning in the past. We are also in collaboration and communication with UCR's Department of Education, who is also working on training teachers that will become ethnic studies teachers. So we have really tried not just to look at the content of what the class is going to look like, but we're also working with key players in the state in terms of implementation. Our goal is to, again, we've been working with the University of California Office of the President to make the Ethnic Studies Puente class part of the admissions requirement and be UC eligible, so that the students that take it in Puente will actually be credited. And we are developing a curriculum that has proven to work. We're also working with looking at what the outline has been provided by the California Department of Education. Again, making sure that every single element of the ethnic studies component is in place so that our students learn, so that they become, they have another eligibility class that is a UC eligible. And then also, with content that is relevant to their experience and to the experience of multi communities in California. For this year, we have been reaching out to various campuses, various Puente sites to start the pilot program that will be implemented in the 22-23 academic year. And as part of that, that grouping of school sites, we will be working with bringing all of their teachers that are going to be working with us and including them in the Puente Summer Institute that's going to happen this June. We are hoping that through this initial pilot program that we are going to get some, feedback in terms of how the curriculum is working. We're going to continue building on the curriculum so that eventually the goal will be to have an ethnic studies class at all of our Puente sites. So we're sharing that with you so that you can start thinking in terms of implementation. But we also have really looked at the ethnic studies component as a way to support all of the sites. This is something that is now a requirement in California that has to be implemented given AB 101. And instead of having you, having to, hustle around to figure out what that content is going to be for your ethnic studies classes, we want to be able to support you and be able to provide that for you. So again, we're starting with a pilot of 10 campuses, but we do, by the next year, which is a 23-24 academic year, we would like to have an implementation of Puente ethnic studies class across the state of California. Any questions on the ethnic studies component?
Yeah, Josefina, hi, I'm Sarah Ragusa. I'm in curriculum and instruction for the Corona Northwood Unified School District.
Mhm.
And I appreciate all the information about the ethnic studies course, and I apologize, I jumped into the morning session just a few minutes late. I caught the tail end of the different school sites sharing their experience, but I did not catch, is it a year-long course and does it require an English credential?
It is a year-long course, and we're looking at what would be most appropriate in terms of the teacher that's teaching. So we have found, and just in the feedback that we have gotten from our initial team that is putting the curriculum together, that there might be some flexibility in terms of having an English instructor or a history instructor. And so, and it would still fulfill the G requirement. And so I think that we are going to take a look at that at district by district. But again, we are having, in terms of the recommendation of the core team that's putting this together, those are the two teaching backgrounds that have come into play so far in terms of our discussions.
Awesome, awesome. And then just one quick follow-up question. I know several districts are in the throes of creating their own course already, as we speak. And it varies whether it's an English credential or a social studies credential, just depending on the district. And I know some districts are considering semester long versus year long. Is there a vision in terms of the Puente course to have this be a course that's available to all students, or just to have it be a different kind of experience for the Puente student, whereas the rest of the students would be taking the larger district version of ethnic studies?
That's a really good question. We're still trying to work out all the specifics in terms of working with the school districts. But the initial round would be for our sites to have the Puente Ethnic Studies version, which would be the 1-year course. And again, I don't think we are close to having those kinds of discussions with the districts in terms of what they would like to see and how we can collaborate. We really believe that, we want, one of our goals as an organization is to really increase the number of students that we serve. So one of the areas that we can work on in terms of a collaboration would be that we might be able to support your efforts at the district level for a fee-for-service opportunity, where we would share our curriculum and then you can implement it across the board at your school sites. So we can definitely have those conversations.
Thank you, Josefina. You guys are doing great work. I appreciate it.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Any more questions in terms of the?
Those things happen.
Okay, so as we formalize all of or finalize all the information, we formalize everything we can share with you, we will go ahead and have additional meetings with all of you so that we can let you know in terms of the implementation process, how that's going to work. We can walk you through what we're going to be offering and then have individual conversations first with the initial pilot sites, but then further on with all of our sites throughout the state of California in terms of how we're going to roll out the implementation of the ethnic studies component. Okay. All right. So thank you so much for being open to this. And again, our discussion and our exploration of the ethnic studies Puente class is in support. We thought it would be a good way to support your school sites so that, this is a requirement that you have to meet. And it aligns so well with what we've been doing in Puente for the last 40 years. So that we thought that we can really be in the forefront of the work that's been happening in the state of California to support this implementation of this of AB 101 and to support you as administrators as well. Okay, so without if there's no more questions on ethnic studies, I would like to move on to the exciting news, which was supported this morning, that we shared this morning in terms of the equity grants. I have to give props to Julia Vergara, who's our executive director, who has just been so open and vocal and really a visionary in terms of how to support, best support our school sites. And so one of the ways that we have been discussing in terms of how to support schools is, there's always there seems to be always a need for additional funding support. And so in looking at the statewide budget, you know, Julia has approved the commitment to give each one of our school sites $10,000 in equity funds. This is a brand new opportunity. You know, this is the first time that we share this information. And what the equity grants would allow would be for you to supplement the funds that are already available to the sites, the $5,000, and you would still need to have a $10,000 designated from the district for the Puente use. So this is to supplement it, not in lieu of. So I want to make that very, very clear as you go back to your districts and share the information with your superintendents. And we were really looking at how can we support school sites directly, and this is one of the ways. It's quite a substantial commitment that Puente has made. It's almost nearly $250,000 in grants for all of our school sites. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about is how can they be used? So we really looked at, as a Puente secondary team, we really talked about, what are the things that teams are always asking us? They're always asking us, well, they're always mentioning, well, we don't have enough to do field trips. We don't have enough to do some parent training. We don't have enough. And so we thought, well, those are the areas that we really want to target. We're going to give you an opportunity to apply for this grants. You're not automatically going to get them. You have to apply, but we did make the application process very simple, right? So the team members, the teacher, the counselors are going to be submitting an application that is very basic in terms of, providing us the name of the school, what is the project that you're intending to do, and the deadline will be on March 31st. You will have from March, our team's going to take a look at the applications, what the projects are that you're intending to use. And by May, you would receive the funding at your districts. The whole idea is also, one of the requirements is that by March 31st of 2023, which is a year from now, we would have an update in terms of your progress. And then also, what you been able to meet your goals and how you've been spending the money. And so there is an accountability element, which is, again, letting us know how the monies were used. What we don't want to happen, in all honesty, is that, we don't want the funds to get lost somewhere, because that happens sometimes. We want to make sure that the full $10,000 is given to Puente, to the Puente teams, that the full $10,000 are used specifically for the projects that your team is outlining. And that, and again, that it would be used as a supplement and not as the regular money or the regular funds that are intended for Puente from your districts and your sites. And so the application, again, will be due on March 31st. And again, we really try to simplify the process. So we're hoping to see some of our sites do activities for parents, maybe some parent academies. We want to see some opportunities for your student leadership development, which is part of our program goal. We want to see our students, and particularly after COVID, as we're opening up more, and our students that are now sophomores and freshmen, and even some of our juniors that haven't had the experiences of going to visit college campuses and universities. We want to make sure that happens. And then they have the opportunity, if they're in the north, to go to the south, if they're in the south, to go to the north and visit some of our colleges and universities across the state of California. And then also, in terms of some of the special projects and programming, like bringing, amazing national or statewide speakers to your students. Some of our teachers and counselors have been really wanting to do special presentations or authors. This is a great way to use the equity funding as well. All right, any questions on the equity funds, equity grants?
Josefina, I just wanted to add a few more things. And first of all, I want to thank you all for being here. These equity funds were really something that our office developed because we know how challenging these last couple of years have been. And we do see ourselves as partners with your high schools and middle schools. And we wanted a way to alleviate some of the pressure that, the teens will be feeling as they reintegrate fully back into programming. I know that many of your schools, if not all of them, are already back on campus, but we wanted to alleviate as we begin to ask teams to begin doing the Noche de Familias, to begin doing field trips, to begin doing all those things that are part of Puente's tradition. We also wanted to offer our support in doing that. We're also mindful that we know that there might be some teachers and counselors that aren't coming back. And, we know that the schools are dealing with some real issues about maybe not having the right staff or just enough staff to go around. So please know that we want you to use this money in a way that you see as appropriate as supporting the work that you're doing on campus. We don't want our programs to add additional financial burdens to the campus. We want to fully support you and to be there as we move forward into what our new vision is for Puente. I think we've learned a lot and we don't expect to operate the same way. And so we see you as partners and learning from that. And we hope that the equity funds will help, again, support the programming that you feel your students at your campus need.
Any questions on the equity grants? And again, they have to be submitted by one of your team members. So we want to make sure that they collaborate in terms of what those projects are so that both the teacher or teachers in some cases and the counselors are all in cahoots in terms of what the projects will be and what the priorities will be in terms of how to utilize the opportunity. And then as you as administrators to really look at those projects before they're submitted in the application to us. So we want to make sure that there's a buy-in from all of you at all levels. And again, we're going to do this very quickly in terms of making sure that the resources are provided at your schools, that the teams are able to start, utilizing some of that money already in this academic year. And then that part of the plan is also to utilize some of the funds for the next academic year and really foreseeing what some of their objectives are. So part of this work in terms of finding what those priorities will be is really having the team work very closely together with you as their administrators in terms of what are the priorities for their Puente program at your school sites. So what are some of the needs of their students? And I know that right now the social emotional issue has come up quite a bit in terms of the needs for students. So you can even use, some of the funding to support that. So just get creative, make sure you all work as a complete team in terms of figuring out these priorities and then submit the application to us. So again, we're so excited to be able to support you directly with these additional funds. And we are really hopeful to see wonderful things. One of the things that we do want to have is some kind of pictures and visuals, of videos, etc., of some of these projects, so that we can really be able to put something together so that we can really celebrate how these monies are used and some of the great, and be able to share some of the great work that is going to be happening with this money. Okay. So I'll move on to the other ways that we're trying to support the Puente sites. We have had a really wonderful couple of years. The COVID has challenged us to really, kind of step back as a secondary team to really look at how we could support the Puente sites and not necessarily being physically there. So one thing that was a challenge, we actually took it as an opportunity, so we really have been looking at programming in terms from, from what used to be very geographically focused to doing things across the state with either with our middle school focus, with our high school focus, or sometimes bringing both middle school and high school students together to some of our Puente Day activities. So just to give you an example, there were several focuses that we try to do. And what Puente Days are is just, they have been kind of like a couple of hours in terms of bringing programming to students that would really focus on community engagement, on college and university exposure, on career exposure and exploration, and then also on leadership development. And so we really looked at those areas of growth for our students. So just to give you some examples, some of the Puente Days that happened over this last few months of the academic year, we did have an intimate conversation with Sonia Nazario, that was one of our authors of Enrique's Journey, and who we have such a wonderful Puente relationship with. We had actually quite a number of students that participated in that event. So Sonia really walked them through her journey of writing this book and the real story of Enrique, who was a young man that she met on the train trying to come to the United States. The students were very impacted by her story and by Enrique's literal journey. And so we wanted students to realize that there's, they too could find their voice, just by having Sonia share a little bit about her childhood and how she became to come to become a Pulitzer Prize-winning author. And now an author that we use in so many of our Puente classes. So that was just one of the experiences. We also had several collaborations with our colleagues at the University of California. So we did an event with UC Davis. We did an event with UC San Diego, and we really explored, what it is to be on the campus. We invited some past Puentistas that are either currently or had just recently graduated from those sites to talk about what is the day of, Puentista at the four-year college. In order to support our LGBTQ students as well, we did have a conversation with professionals that are LGBTQ advocates and supporters, and students had an opportunity to talk about how they become active in the community and to support LGBTQ students, and then also the members of our panel also shared about their own experience and sharing how that was in terms of coming on and sharing who they were with their families, especially with Latino families that have a tendency to be a little bit more conservative and religious. So we also had one of our really exciting Puente Days was the Puente Latinos in Hollywood. And we actually had Josefina Lopez, who is the playwright of Real Women Have Curves. She also is a business owner. She owns a wonderful restaurant in East LA. And then we also had Richard Montoya from Culture Clash. And we had Jeffrey Rivas, who is a movie director and a person that's in the theater as well. So we had several students that were interested in that area in terms of going into entertainment industry and have an opportunity to talk to these very successful Latinos in Hollywood. So those are just some examples. We also we have also really looked at what are the possibilities of students in the STEM area. So we did a live building of a bridge from a scientific point of view with women that are in the transportation area. We also did a similar event is extracting DNA from a strawberry with Professor Dr. Cortez, Alex Cortez from UC Riverside, and some of our middle schools, actually all of our middle schools in the state participated in that. We send out all of the materials that they needed, and they on live, they were doing their experiment with the college professor, and I think students found it very invigorating. Most recently, just actually this week, we had our big opening ceremony with a partnership that we have with Whittier Union High School District and the Cesar Chavez Foundation in terms of a community service project where all of our Puente sites at Whittier Union participated. And we actually had Andres Chavez, who's the direct descendant and grandson of Cesar Chavez, talk to our students about the importance of and relevance of community work. And we're actually going to be having Andres back, and all of our school sites in the secondary will have an opportunity to hear him as part of our Puente Day coming up this month in March, about the, what the legacy of Cesar Chavez is and how they can become part of that legacy by being community leaders and taking active measures to do positive changes within their own schools and their community. So we're very excited about that. Also, one of the things that we did that was brand new this year is that we implemented a Puente Student Leadership Institute. We're very proud of that because we have been really wanting to support the student efforts at the school level. And our idea was for to have each one of our teachers and counselors select 3 students from your campuses, all middle schools, all high schools. And we've been working with your students since last summer. So we actually had a 2-day institute. We've been working every 3 months with the students. We bring them together. We have had a number of different topics, including, looking at themselves as leaders. How do they make, positive changes within their local schools and their local communities? We also broke them up by geographic areas so that our student leaders were actually in these sessions where, it was either Southern California, Central Valley. Some of them were even more specific to that, in terms of Orange County and LA County, et cetera, so that they could collaborate on some projects and really, be like think tanks for how we can approach Puente-led student activities. So we've been really building the leadership in your students, and they have in fact gone back and done some amazing work. We even offered them an opportunity to receive mini grants so that they can develop programs. They came up with the projects. They went ahead and applied with the support of their teacher and counselor, and we disseminated some money so they could actually do some activities. So the activities really ranged. We had a school that wanted to do a Puente mural. We had another one that who were dealing a lot with hate against LGBTQ students, so they wanted to do an LGBTQ awareness week. We had other ones that wanted to do a reading project with the local elementaries and middle schools. So we really had an array of creative ideas and projects that the students came up with. And we were able to, again, not only support them in concept, but financially support them. Other schools that have gone through a lot of changes because of COVID, their team members were changing. So they just wanted to build the student spirit and to build Puente identity. So in those cases, the students just say, we just want a Puente sweatshirt, so we can find that connection. So like I mentioned, the projects really came in all sorts of different levels, but we were able to support all of them. In terms of, do you have any questions in terms of that and the student Puente Days or our student Puente Summer Leadership Institute or our Leadership Institute in general? Okay. I wanted to make it very interactive. So if you have any questions, please, feel free to ask. In terms of the Puente growth, we continue to really expand. We've been working with numerous districts across the state of California. We're bringing on 10 new sites, and that includes middle and high school new sites. And so our plan is to continue growing, to continue really building. Some of you at your districts are adding on additional school sites. So that it's not all brand new districts. Some of them are existing districts, but we're just adding either new middle schools to the program or additional high schools to the program. But we have really been on an expansion mode. So aside from supporting our teams on a regular basis, we are also supporting the teams that are implementing Puente, either with next year actually having a new cohort of students or a planning year. So it depends on how they're coming in, but we're continuing to support those opportunities for our districts and our sites across the state of California. We are also expanding in terms of bringing on additional staff. Number one, we now have a new counseling coordinator who is Steve Gonzalez. Steve was actually one of our Puente counselors at the Anaheim School District. He was at Magnolia High School and was a Puente counselor for 26 years. He has now joined our staff. We're also bringing on board some folks that are going to help us in terms of doing ethnic studies. We're bringing in contractees that are going to be helping with the middle schools. We're hoping to have an additional middle school staff member that will be joining on. So we have a great vision in terms of really growing as a staff so that we could continue with the growth of our programs. We're also opening up a Southern California office that would be in Claremont, California, which is kind of midways for all of our Southern California region. And so we have been exploring the location. We found the location. Again, we're going to be in Claremont, so that we're, easily accessible to all our Southern California sites, but we'll continue to serve California across the state, because we also have Anna is one of our staff members that is in Northern California. And once we do that, we'll have an official, ribbon cutting ceremony, and we'll definitely invite all of you to join us for that event. In terms of, again, we continue to have the vision of expansion. We want to serve more students in California, and we want to continue growing your programs. I know that there's, I've had conversations with some of you that have expressed wanting to add, additional cohorts to Puente. And this would definitely be the time for us to have those conversations. We want to support you in your growth, but we don't want to diluted growth. We want to make sure that we're strategic in terms of how that growth would look for your district and for your school site specifically, and how we can support that, that effort. So when we're looking at growth at your school sites, if you want to add on new cohorts or you want to expand the number of students that you want to serve, we want to be very intentional and very strategic about what that would look like. We also want to, one of the things that we're also looking at in terms of Puente is that we on a regular basis, we look at the information, the data for your particular school sites all across the state. We want to make sure that everybody is up to par in terms of, implementing the MOUs, that every component of the MOU is followed, that our teachers and counselors have that access to the $5,000 budget that they're supposed to be having at the school level, that that your district is allowing those $10,000 that are supposed to be designated for the Puente use, so that we can really have strong programs across the state. Any questions so far? Okay, Anna, you want to go on to the next slide? Okay. In a nutshell, we are, again, our goal is to be meeting with your Puente teams. We've already been making some site visits, particularly if there are if we are noting that, that your school site might be having any kind of a challenge, we want to work with you, particularly as administrators, to address those challenges and to see how we can support you in resolving what, some of the concerns may be. And let me give you some examples. I know that in some cases we've had changes in counseling. In some cases, the implementation, there's similar implementation challenges just because, you're short staff. And one of the things that I've been hearing a lot across the state is the shortness in a shortage in substitute teaching. So sometimes that becomes an issue in terms of having your teams attend training, et cetera. So we are aware of that. And so we want to, work with you to help resolve those issues. And yes, definitely, I can give you a copy of the presentation. We are setting goals with administrators. So we're going to start setting up some appointments with with the APs and the principals and even with superintendents in terms of setting goals for your district. We have seen some districts that are that are doing really wonderfully. We have districts that are having a little bit more challenges. So we want to work with you to make sure that the program is implemented and again, following the MOU and making sure that our MOU at your school site is in compliance with all of the different areas of the expectations of the partnership. And then in some cases, again, we're having to go backtrack a little bit and ensuring that that the $10,000 and the $5,000 district and site budgets are available, which in some cases is not the case. So if you can help us resolve those issues, that would be awesome. We also want to, again, one of the things that our team sometimes tell us is that they have a hard time accessing the $5,000 amount so that they can do some of the programming. And that's an area that all of you as administrators can help us with because, it's hard for them to plan activities if they're not going to have easy access to the budget. So I think that's an area that you can really help us in ensuring that your team is supported, that they have, easy access to that. And then to help them, kind of what the best way to be able to access those funds. Because you all have different protocols within your districts and within your school sites. If you can really shepherd your team towards what's the best access and do they need to communicate with you and what's the best way to be able to request those fundings and if you could be an advocate on their behalf, we would really ask for your support in that. We will continue to build opportunities for our students. Once again, we are planning on having our Puente Student Leadership Institute this summer. We will continue to work with the students in the future. We also create opportunities with our different partners for our students. And some of them are across the state and some of them are geographical, depending on who the partner is and what kind of students they're looking for. And so just to give you some examples of some of the partnerships that we're able to do for students, like for example, we have a wonderful partnership with the California Endowment. And actually through the California Endowment, that's how we were able to give some of the grants for some of those the activities that happen across the state. We also have a great partnership with Hispanas Organized for Political Equality, HOPE. Some of you might have heard of that organization, which is the premier leadership organization for Latinas across the state. We're actually having some of our Tennyson High School young women coming down actually today. And they're going to be taking part in the Latina History Day that's going to happen at the Biltmore Hotel. And some of them, or for example, with the Cesar Chavez Foundation, all of your students will have an opportunity to hear about Cesar's legacy. And then also geographically, like I mentioned, we also tap into local area partners, like one of our great partners has been the Los Angeles Dodgers. So all of our students in LA County, Orange County, Riverside County have benefited from either attending free games or being given, Dodger swag, and for them and for some other families included. So we'll continue to build opportunities for our students, particularly in the area of leadership development. That's an area that's really important to us, because we think that, your students are your best advocates, and it can really help you kind of work with the rest of the Puentista, especially your leaders, to really build Puente within your school sites. So there's a lot of excitement in terms of what we're planning. We're trying new things, and especially in the area of student leadership development. For next year, we're also going to start implementing a parent academy that we're going to pilot with the middle schools, and eventually move over to also include the high school parents. And so we'll be talking things like financial literacy, planning for college, and then tapping into their own leadership potential as parents to work with you at your school sites and in your community. So a lot of wonderful things coming up in Puente. Any questions? All right, so I wanted to just, have an opportunity to connect with you this morning. Again, we will be meeting with you, visiting sites, and we've actually already met with a few of you already, including Mr. Polk and a few others, and again, to really discuss what's going on at your side, how we can make your Puente programs stronger, how we can collaborate with you and continue to support you from our end. And it's a privilege to work with each and one of you. As I mentioned, I only came in as an interim, it's been almost a year ago. And so I really have, but I've been with Puente for 20 years. So, but in this role, I have, along with our amazing secondary team, we're trying to be very creative to support the sites, particularly in this time of so many unexpected happenings. And we'll continue to do that. So we are an open door. If you have suggestions for us, if you have any feedback for us, definitely please give us a call and connect with us. Let us know what your needs are so we can support you. These grants have out of these conversations with our teams and with some of you or some of our administrators. And so we are really paying close attention to what your needs are at the school sites and as administrators. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I so appreciate all of your being here. And if there's no further questions, we're done with this particular session. You're welcome to join either the teachers or the counselors, or again, thank you for your time. And don't forget to consider, sharing with a big give. Yes.
Josefina, may I say something?
Yes, please, Francisco.
No, I just wanted to say thank you for always making these type of events so meaningful and motivational. I've been with Puente for 2 years, and every time I have an opportunity to attend one of these conferences, been very impactful, not just in my life, but also in the life of the kids here in Whittier Union High School District. And I wanted to thank you for the support that you always give our sites. So the Puente team at the state level works very, very hard. And we are the ones that reap the benefits from all the hard work that you guys do. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Oh, that means a lot. Thank you so much, Francisco. And again, we so value our relationships. We're a very relationship-driven organization. We function a little bit old school in that way, because we truly care about the teachers, the counselors, and the parents and administrators that we work with. We want to have a good, solid working relationship and good communication on a two-way level. So we really appreciate all of you and have our utmost respect for you, especially hanging in there after these really tough COVID times, and keeping those smiles on, it makes a big difference.
And I love your new Puente logo. I love the idea of the two bridges, because I think that with Puente goes both ways. We're always providing support to the kids, but we always encourage them to come back and learn to give back to their community. So having those two bridges really captures that spirit.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think this year in particular, we have several Puente team members across, the middle school, high school, and community college that are Puente alums, and it has really like resonated in terms of the full circle. Or we have had opportunities because for our students because of Puente alums. So it was our new logo is really paying homage and honor to that you're all doing at the school sites, that our alums are now doing for our students. And then, that mentorship leadership component, because now we're connecting, our alums and our community with our students more so than ever, I think. And all of you with your work really pay tribute to our founders. And I was recently, actually about a couple days ago, I was in contact with Felix Calaviz, and I was giving him an update of some of the great work that's happening at our middle schools and our high schools. And I said, I don't think you had ever envisioned, Felix, what an impact Puente would have that one day when you sat down with Pat McGrath to, figure out the Puente components on a napkin, because that's literally how it happened. I said, we're impacting so many students across the state. We're bringing on all these sites, and what that translates to is literally thousands of new students being served for this next academic year. So we're very, very grateful to all of you. And again, we'll continue in partnership and working together and collaborating and building your programs, because the stronger your programs, the stronger your students. And muchas gracias for everything. All right. Hasta luego. Gracias.